The story of Adam and Eve is a central narrative in the Abrahamic religions, primarily found in the book of Genesis in the Bible. This story explains the origins of humanity and the introduction of sin into the world. According to the narrative, Adam and Eve are the first humans created by God, placed in the idyllic Garden of Eden. They are given freedom and dominion over the garden, with one explicit command: not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The story takes a pivotal turn when a serpent tempts Eve to eat the forbidden fruit, which she shares with Adam, leading to their expulsion from Eden. This narrative is not merely an origin story. It serves as a foundational element that explains key theological concepts, such as original sin, free will, and the nature of temptation. The significance of Adam and Eve's story extends beyond its theological implications. It reflects on themes of disobedience, choice, and consequence that are universally resonant. In the broader context, this story can be seen as an allegory for human development and the existential challenges of striving for knowledge and self-awareness while grappling with moral limitations. In today's world, the narrative of Adam and Eve has been applied in various ways. For instance, it often serves as a moral framework within which many believers understand legal and ethical constructs. Additionally, the story influences literary and artistic expressions, inspiring countless works that delve into human nature, temptation, and redemption. John Milton's Paradise Lost is a famous reimagining that explores these themes with profound depth. Nevertheless, the story is not without its challenges and controversies. One significant debate relates to the literal versus metaphorical interpretation of the narrative, with differing views on its historical accuracy and symbolic meaning. Critics often discuss gender roles depicted in the story, particularly focusing on Eve's portrayal and the implications for societal views on women. Despite these challenges, the narrative of Adam and Eve remains intrinsically linked to discussions on morality, making it an enduring subject of interest. It influences how societies conceptualize sin, redemption, and the human condition. Moreover, it connects to broader theological and philosophical inquiries about creation, the divine, and humanity's place in the cosmos, often serving as a starting point for further exploration of these profound topics. The creation of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden is a pivotal narrative from the book of Genesis in the Bible. This story begins with God creating the first man, Adam, from the dust of the ground, breathing life into him, and later creating Eve from Adam's rib as a companion. The Garden of Eden serves as their idyllic paradise, a place of harmony and abundance. This narrative is deeply significant as it lays the foundation for Judeo-Christian perspectives on human origins, relationships, and the nature of sin. It's a cornerstone for theological discussions surrounding the relationship between humanity and divinity, the concept of original sin and human free will. One real-world application of this story is its influence on Western art and literature, where numerous works have explored themes of innocence, temptation, and the loss of paradise. For example, Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel artwork and John Milton's epic poem, Paradise Lost, draw heavily from this narrative, each offering a unique interpretation that has shaped cultural and religious thought. Moreover, the concept of Adam and Eve is used in discussions about human gender roles, as it has been historically referenced in debates on the roles and responsibilities of men and women within many societies. Those who support traditional interpretations argue that the narrative promotes the understanding of humanity's inherent relationship with God and each other, emphasizing companionship, stewardship, and the sanctity of marriage. Conversely, challenges and controversies arise relating to the creation story's literal versus metaphorical interpretation. Modern scientific perspectives, particularly those grounded in evolution, question the feasibility of a literal Adam and Eve as progenitors of the human race. Alternatively, some theological interpretations view the story as metaphorical, teaching profound truths about human nature and morality, rather than serving as a literal account of human origins. These controversies often spark broader debates about the compatibility of faith with science and Scripture's role in modern life. In connecting to other aspects of the main topic, the creation story sets in motion the subsequent events in Genesis, such as the fall of man and the introduction of sin into the world. It shapes the narrative arc of humanity's need for redemption and salvation, themes that are foundational to Christian theology. By understanding this, one can appreciate how the story of Adam and Eve influences not just religious doctrine, but cultural and ethical frameworks worldwide. Overall, the creation of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden is much more than an ancient tale. It's a narrative rich with meanings that continue to affect and reflect human values and beliefs. The concept of roles and responsibilities in Eden refers to the specific duties and privileges assigned to Adam and Eve within the biblical Garden of Eden. This narrative holds significant importance as it lays the groundwork for understanding human purpose, stewardship, and the intrinsic relationship between humanity and creation. In the Genesis account, Adam is tasked with cultivating the garden and naming the animals, symbolizing humankind's responsibility to work and maintain the world. Eve's creation as a helper for Adam signifies the partnership and companionship inherent in human relationships. The importance of this aspect of the story is rooted in its exploration of the ideal state of human existence and the harmonious balance with nature. This paradigm of mutual custodianship set the tone for humanity's ongoing environmental ethics and societal roles. For instance, the concept of stewardship is mirrored in modern environmental conservation efforts, where individuals and communities actively engage in sustaining the planet's resources. Moreover, the equal partnership highlighted in the story of Eve has influenced contemporary discussions and movements towards gender equality in roles and responsibilities. There are various opinions and interpretations that support the idea of predefined roles. Many view these roles as a divine blueprint for living in peace with nature and one another. However, there are challenges and controversies surrounding the literal interpretation of these roles. Critics argue that these traditional roles can perpetuate stereotypes and validate inequality, particularly concerning gender roles. Others contend that the focus should be on the flexibility and shared responsibilities, reflecting more accurately the dynamic nature of modern social structures. The concept of roles and responsibilities in Eden is intricately connected to the broader themes of freedom and consequence, as seen in the later narrative of the fall. The responsibilities initially given to Adam and Eve within Eden are directly challenged by their decision to eat from the tree of knowledge, leading to a new understanding of good and evil. This shift underscores the human capacity for moral decision-making and the consequences that arise from neglecting one's responsibilities. Overall, the roles and responsibilities in Eden weave into larger discussions on the human condition, morality, and the pursuit of a balanced existence. By understanding their significance, we glean insight into ancient values that continue to influence ethical discussions across cultures today. The concept of the temptation and fall from grace in the story of Adam and Eve is rooted in the biblical narrative found in the book of Genesis. It describes the moment when Eve, and subsequently Adam, are persuaded by the serpent to eat the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, an act which God had explicitly prohibited. This disobedience results in their expulsion from the Garden of Eden and marks the introduction of sin and death into the world. The temptation and fall symbolize the fragility of human virtue and the inherent susceptibility to transgression when faced with alluring yet forbidden desires. The significance of this moment in the larger story of Adam and Eve cannot be overstated. It serves as a foundational myth explaining the origin of human sinfulness and the lost state of innocence. Furthermore, it highlights the themes of choice, free will, and the consequences of actions, which are prevalent throughout moral and ethical discussions. This narrative point underscores the relationship between divine command and human obedience, setting a theological precedent for understanding human nature and morality. Real-world applications of this theme are evident in literature and psychology. For instance, in literature, John Milton's Paradise Lost explores the gravity of Adam and Eve's actions, providing a profound insight into the human condition and the nature of temptation. In psychology, understanding temptation and self-control is crucial in behavioral studies, especially in relation to addiction and decision-making processes. Such concepts are examined to help individuals recognize and resist detrimental impulses, reinforcing the importance of this narrative in practice. Some theologians and scholars argue that the story serves as a tool for promoting moral behavior by illustrating the dire consequences of disobedience, reinforcing the necessity of adhering to ethical principles. However, challenges and controversies arise, particularly around interpretations of gender roles and the literal versus allegorical readings of the text. Critics may view the story as misogynistic, placing undue blame on Eve and, by extension, women for humanity's fall. Alternative viewpoints also suggest that the tale is not a historical account, but rather a symbolic story meant to communicate deeper truths about human experience. Overall, the temptation and fall from grace influence numerous aspects of Adam and Eve's narrative by providing a pivotal moment that defines humanity's relationship with divinity. It serves to bridge the gap between the pure existence in Eden and the flawed reality outside, offering a profound exploration of sin, redemption, and the ongoing human struggle with ethical dilemmas.